I wasted a couple months where I just was almost unable to write because I was scared to try something different. And I think authors of any stage could probably stand to be a little bit gentler with themselves, even if there isn't a pandemic going on.
Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be informed, encouraged, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author of the book Stay the Course, and certified leadership trainer, Dom Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as the host himself, yours truly. Now let the fun begin. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, where we're bigger, badder, better, and still without butter, it's the Going North podcast, baby. The Going North podcast. And last time we had some, you know what? I won't even say it. I'm just going to maybe add something in if we win at the end of this. But we have returning guests, baby. Returning guests in the building, baby. The virtual building from hundreds of miles away. And what's even better about this returning guest is that they're still an international best-selling author that created multiple series, baby. The Reforged series, as well as the Nell Bentley books, as well as multiple others. And what's even better is not only is that this person is also an international best-selling author, they are also an award-winning author because they won the New Apple Literary Excellence and Independent Publishing Award, folks, back in 2015. So let's give it up for the return, the great return. Fire, smoke, and fireworks everywhere. Give it up for V.S. Holmes, baby.
Thanks for having me again. Didn't scare you away the first time.
Oh, okay, good. All right, I thought it's usually in reverse, and I drop the tree joke on people, but hey, it worked out perfect.
I'm just happy that someone else has jokes that are just as ridiculous as mine. Usually I'm the only one laughing at mine, so.
There we go. Now we can have evil, maniacal laughs for no reason together. It's beautiful. Oh my goodness. So welcome back. Welcome back. It's freaking awesome. Like, if I'm not mistaken, in this past year, what was it? One or two more new books published with a fifth one on the way, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, as fast as my fingers can write it. Yeah, I published the final book in the Blood of Titans Reforged series, which was Blood and Mercy. And then coming up, we have number 4. That'd be Heretics, and that's in the Nell Bentley books. And that's coming out on May 8th, which is fast approaching, despite the fact that time seems to have stopped for a lot of us. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and yeah, book 5 is coming along. I still haven't figured out some of the key plot points. I'm told that you have to have a plot when you write a book, so we're working on that. Lots of angst and emotion, and dramatic lesbians, but we're still working out the kinks in that plot. So.
Still anger issues in the main character, I'm assuming.
She's working on them. That's she's getting there. But this time around, she actually has real things to be angry about. So it makes it a little harder.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, that's good indeed. When it's justified, it makes a lot more sense.
Well, at least you can usually do something about it then, right? You can maybe punch someone or something.
Oh yeah, like if it was like a giant blob of shaped like a camel.
Yeah. Just like that.
Yeah, or heck, maybe even 2 giant blobs, one shaped like a camel, and then the other shape is the penguin riding the camel.
There you go. And in between that little dip, right? Because camels with the 2 humps. Or is that dromedaries? I don't know. There's a difference, and I can't remember what it is.
There we go. The magical dip. We can call them camelguins.
There we go. That's it.
But hey, it's not about camel gwins. It's about the magical progress that you're making. So good thing that you're still alive after this whole COVID pandemic evil nonsense that folks had to go through last year all over the freaking globe. So how goes progress with the skill building? Have you been able to polish any skills this time around with this past year with all the writing that you've been doing?
I'm definitely my process has completely changed actually, which I
Ooh.
really wasn't expecting. Yeah, I was a die-hard plotter for a really long time there, and it does help when you're writing series to like know where you started and where you kind of want to end up, and there's still a little bit of that, but no, I've actually leaned more into pantsing a bit more and letting my creative process flow. And I think a lot of that started because there was a lot of creative energy that was wrapped up in Blood of Titans and that world. And though I am going to revisit it, those stories were tied up and finished. And suddenly I had all this creative energy and like no idea what to do with it. Yet me a writer not knowing what to do with the creative energy. Um, and so I currently actually have 3 books that I'm drafting at once, and I've just been letting myself, with a little bit of guidance here and there, write whatever scenes I want to write in those books whenever I want to write them. And I'm I'm my writing speed has just gone haywire, and a lot of what I'm writing I actually feel is stronger than my initial first drafts can sometimes be. So I'm really enjoying actually exploring that, and I'm sure I'll hit the doldrums and the writer's block that inevitably come at some point. But I think that this has been a really good experiment, and I'm sort of looking forward to seeing how far it can take me.
Well, I imagine far. So you finally come to the dark side. You're now a pantser.
Yes. Well, I think I started out that way, but like I think most people probably start out that way when you're penning your first novel and you think it's great and you're just like spewing ideas onto the page without any sense of reason. And then I got a little bogged down, I think, in like the series plotting and keeping track of everything. And I definitely will probably need that when I go back to revise to make sure all the key pieces are there and the stuff that makes books tick is there. But so far it's been really fun to just let my little creative juices go.
Shoot, well, that's what I'm talking about. So my goodness, like 3 books at once. It's like from the reading perspective, it's like, oh yeah, no problem. 3 books at once, I can do that. But writing 3 books at once. So do you dedicate a different day to a different book or a different hour? Like, how does that even work?
Well, I definitely mostly focus on one book a day, um, and sometimes it'll be one of them multiple days in a row. Like the next Nell Bentley book, number 5 is Fugitives, and I'm focusing mostly on that one because there are still 2 more books to write in that series. There's going to be a total of 6, and people are waiting for them, and that's sort of where my focus is. So I do have word count goals that I'm trying to hit with that one. Currently, I'm trying to get to 30,000 words, and then my other ones are sort of when I need that palate cleanser or when I just can't take the sci-fi worlds anymore. I can't take the research into the hard science. Like I don't want to think about dark matter and killer sound waves and heads and shards anymore. I just want to go play with the magic. Then I switch gears and sort of go back into the other things I'm writing, one of which is revisiting the Blood of Titans world, but new characters, new continent, whole brand new set of problems. And then the other one is this sort of dark gothic fantasy that's kind of weird, and I don't really know where it's gonna go. That's the fun part.
Oh, heck yeah, I can say that again. And that kind of does make sense with the whole plotting to parents, I guess, with the dancing back and forth and that to change your style. Because, like with the series, it does make sense because you don't want random characters to appear again that may have died in the first book. You're like, hey, why is this person here again? Like, oh, whoops, my bad. Oh, my bad.
I've only done that a few times. Usually the resurrection's on purpose.
Oh, good. Good. That's right. A second chance at life.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully for the good guy or the good gal in this case.
Oh, that's no fun. I like my villains too much. That's my problem.
So now I remember what the V and VS home stands for. Villain. All right. I see.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. No will have no socks in their sock drawer. That's right. They'll just have all one foot.
That's one of my favorite like petty curses is like, may your sock always slide down in your shoe when you're walking. It's like, it's great because it's awful, but it's not like, you can't really say it's evil.
Just one of those really heavy annoyances like, oh, darn, not again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Sweet. So with all this magical writing, is the digging still happening? At least with the
Uh,
magical day job?
a little bit, a little bit. We were also affected by a lot of layoffs last year. So honestly, we worked about 2.5 months out of the entire year. We were fortunate enough to qualify for unemployment during some of that time off, but we are hoping to dive right back in once the ground thaws, which for us is usually late March, mid-April ish. Um, yeah, we'll be diving right back in, and I'm curious to see what my new process, how that responds to going back to work, and maybe how my brain cells respond to like actually having to be a person again. Because it's been a minute, and I've lost what little practice I had at that. Um, but yeah, we're definitely still digging and still sometimes occasionally finding stuff. So yeah.
It's like, ew, this is work. This ain't the work I'm used
Yeah.
to. Like, go away. What give me back my keyboard?
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to like see a different four walls like the than our house, but staying in hotels is not my idea of fun during a pandemic. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like they're gross usually, but
That's basically what it is. Like it's like you poke the bed to make sure there's no creatures that come out of the bed. It's like we're like, oh shoot, it's an actual creature now. Front
another
desk,
mouth
get
to
up here.
feed. Well, I mean, most recently, like the one of the projects we were on, like it was a really nice hotel, but it had like a kitchenette and everything, and like usually I don't splurge on us like that.
Ooh,
This one had like dried oatmeal in the cups and like dirty towels. I'm like, I can't, like this would be
ew.
kind of skeevy, and I mean, I get that the housekeepers have a horrific job any given day. But like, come on now, pandemic guys, I don't want someone else's oatmeal. Like,
Like of all things, oatmeal. Like really?
I mean, I'm just guessing. It was hard and crusty and kind of gray, so let's go with oatmeal.
Oh,
It was in a cup, so that ruled out
ew.
a few things.
Oh, okay then. Well, alrighty. I guess that goes back to the creamsicle novel we were talking about before the
Does
record button.
your upcoming romance series?
That's right. Where the ice cream man has cream that isn't always iced.
Why is it orange though? Why is it orange?
Well, pandemic needs some citrus swag.
That's true. That's true. Vitamin C. Vitamin C really does some wonders.
Oh, man. But hey, it's all good. It's all good. It is oh good. So my goodness. So with your entire writing process having, well, I guess that changing just by, I guess, having the time with it. Is there any other skill that you feel like you've gained over these past few months since it's probably like what book like I'd say what 12 in
Yeah,
total?
this is gonna be that's a good question. I should have done the math. As far as full length books go, Heretics is gonna be number 8. But I have, some short stories and novellas out there. Um, but yeah, I've definitely picked up I've done a lot of work on my aquarium. I've like gotten into like the aquascaping thing, which is I think probably good for the mental health. Um, Sort of a fun, unrelated book skill that I've picked up. Um, I mean, patience. I've definitely gotten a lot more patient. Not maybe so much with myself, though we're working on that one too. Um, but yeah, it's been really an interesting time to get into my head. I mean, I'm pretty in my head a lot of times. I think a lot of authors are, but the sort of forced isolation has really given me a chance to get to know myself on a different level, both creatively, but also just like, oh, so this is who I am. Like when no one's looking, this is who I am. That's really interesting, huh? I didn't know that was under that rock. Like all the little squirmy, creepy, crawly things. But I think it's also been great to throw some of that into the books that I've been working on. I think a lot of what I've been writing has been the most honest, in a lot of ways. I mean, it's all fiction, but definitely the most honest, and also the closest to what I wanting it to be. I think a lot of us, as we start writing something, it evolves, and of course these things happen too. But I seem to have nailed my initial goal in a way that I didn't used to be able to. So that's been kind of a fun skill. I don't know, my brain cells have gone away since since the pandemic too. So I'm like what skills have I picked up? I don't know.
So did you give them to the fish in the aquarium?
I did. They've been really appreciating them. Extra protein. They're starting to develop a language though, and I'm a little concerned about our future.
It's like, all right, it's time to seek out our revenge. First we'll get the sharks, then we'll get the humans. We're tired of these fish fries happening.
I'm happier with the fish becoming sentient than with like whatever I've forgotten in the back of the fridge. Like that, we don't need that to develop a culture.
Oh god. Revenge of the fridge. The
Yeah.
fridge's revenge. Revenge of the fridge. ROF. 7 books in a whole series.
I see. Now I have to add that to the list too. Like never-ending works in progress here. That'll be Nell's final boss, right? Book 6, Revenge of the Fridge.
Oh man, that would be freaking amazing. Like, yeah, that's right. We should never gave them fridges IP addresses. That was our first mistake.
No. What happens when you leave those sentient heads in jars in there for too long? They grow a little bit of green scum. I should say no spoilers, right?
Yeah, don't worry. Spoiler alert or no spoilers. Yeah, well, no spoilers.
Thank you.
But that's
It
how we
is
got here.
a little bit of foreshadowing. A little bit of foreshadowing with book 4, though, is definitely some skeevy things in jars. That's for sure.
There you go. So Mason jar ahoy. That's what I'm talking about. So my goodness. So with all the wonderful feeding of the wonderful fish and developing patience and basically becoming a doctor as a result, What do you think may be the main thing that authors need to keep in mind as they progress through their magical writing? Since now you have these wonderful series out there and it can be hard to keep up, especially if you have to reread all of them or at least have a darn good memory to make sure you don't overlap them.
Oh God, that's the worst part is having to go back and look at your own work. I was just talking to my spouse about that. Like you never want to do that. Once it's out, it's out. It's done. I can't look at it again. But I think really something that I've been struggling to realize even now is letting yourself have that flexibility of when your process changes, because it's really hard. I think maybe especially when you've been successful with other types of writing processes, like I've clearly gotten something that worked for several books, and realizing that I'm just banging my head against a wall with this other stuff if I don't switch my process has been kind of difficult, because I've been afraid to make a change and then have it backfire and then realize like, oh crap, I wasted all this time. And I think having the flexibility to change things up and see if just because something worked before or worked for one project doesn't mean it's going to work again, and doesn't going to mean it's going to work for all projects. And I think I wasted a couple months where I just was almost unable to write because I was scared to try something different. And I think authors of any stage could probably stand to be a little bit gentler with themselves, even if there isn't a pandemic going on.
Oh yeah, you can see that again. Like heck, even myself included, and one other guest in particular, she was actually having imposter syndrome for her second book after the success of her first book that
Yeah.
came as a shock and a surprise. It's like I think it's still a bestseller now, funny enough, since it's a money book. And she was
Mhm.
going through that imposter syndrome, giving herself hell, and it took like having the right people around her to actually shake her out of that stupor and be like, "Hey, like, come on here, get the book out here. Like, people need it. You say you're gonna do this thing, and it's like just be okay with getting done, like getting things done. Like, done is better than perfect."
Done is better than perfect, and I mean you can always revise if you know that's part of your process. I think it probably should be. Um, I mean, nothing I put out for the first time is perfect. I mean, nothing I put out when it's finished is perfect either. And it's hard though when something has been successful to think like, oh well, so I either have to do just as well or I have to do better. Like that's scary. I don't like that.
It's like, can I just put a picture of a honey bun on the cover and call it a day already?
No kidding. Like, insert plot here. There you go.
Just be like, where's the plot? Like, what am I reading? It's like I have no idea. I just keep going through a daily life, and we haven't got to a monster or nothing yet.
There's been some explosions. A couple bodies have turned up, but we don't care about why. So
It's like, is this the whole book? Like, just massive genocide just for no reason? Like, there's no backstory.
that's usually how I solve my writer's block. Though is like just throw some bodies in there, explosions or bodies, like one of the two, and then we'll figure it out. Now everyone who's read my books are like, oh, that's why that body showed up there. That's why that happened. You were stuck, weren't you?
uh, the Ten Commandments of V.S. Holmes writing sci-fi. Throw in explosions or a dead body.
Fire and bodies,
Hey.
death and brimstone.
Uh, so do you believe that the fire and the brimstone will also save the future? Let me stop.
Something's got to, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, since it's far from your first rodeo and it's round two, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often now that you're better and not butter?
Oh, see, that's a tough one. Oh, see, you stumped me. My I think the the question I'd like to answer would be, what's next for one of the other series? I mean, I kind of touched on it. But for that one, it would be more bodies, more swords, and some raptors that some characters are using instead of horses. We got raptor mounts. We got raptor cavalry coming. See, I just wanted to brag about that. That's all it was.
Hey, I'll take it indeed. Like, I'll take it indeed. And funny enough, I don't even think we touched on this last time, but you're actually a podcast host too.
I am. I am. At least that's been thriving during the pandemic.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Been interviewing fellow authors, getting their secrets, learning the tricks of the trade.
Stealing them all. Yeah. No, it's been great because I mean, I think I'm like borderline agoraphobic at this point. Like only kind of joking. And being able to talk to people on the podcast has been really fantastic because it reminds me like, no, like people are out there and people are awesome, and especially other authors. Like, plus there's been some really cool conversations, I think, because we've all been stuck in our own heads. There've been some really interesting topics brought up, and I just think that's so cool to be able to do that.
Heck yeah. So, any three favorite episodes that stick out to you?
I can't pick favorites. That's mean. um, but I did most recently. It hasn't actually aired yet, though it might have by the time this does. I was able to talk to the two halves of O.E. Tierman. They're an author duo who write some super awesome queer cyberpunk stuff. With the Aces High Jokers Wild series, and I always like diving into stuff with them. That was really fun. Had a couple really good conversations with multiple authors about death and how sort of touching on that has been really healing in a lot of ways, and how just people have been processing that lately, and that was pretty neat. I always like getting into the dark stuff. So yeah, that's been those are probably my favorite ones.
Ah, yeah, I got you. Definitely pays off indeed where you get to the healing aspect of it all. Like, that's the power of magical writing. And so, do you think you may explore any other genres in the future outside of your comfort zone?
Oh, probably a little bit. I'm sort of dipping my toes in the water slightly with the gothic fantasy, because it's totally different fantasy than the world and so forth than I have explored with Blood of Titans. I also kind of want to go a little steampunky at some point. I have
Sweet.
some like weird ideas that I can't tell if they're like really fun and campy or if they're like absolute trash. So I'm gonna poke those with a stick, the next time I'm bored, and see what comes out. So I might do something with the steampunk thing. Um, but no, I'm sci-fi fantasy all the way.
Go for the steampunk. It might be campier than you expect.
Yeah, see, I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, might even have to bring a tent too afterwards.
At least I'm good at that part. That part I can do. That's the easy part.
Hooray! Pitching a tent. Hooray.
Easier than pitching a story.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive for round two. And we'll see how this one goes. So, basically, you're called to give the final keynote speech of your life where you're speaking to 6 billion people on the face of the planet, and you get 90 minutes to give your final special message to the whole freaking planet. And it's going to be recorded too and played for generations to inspire the masses. V.S. Holmes, international best-selling author, leaves her inspirational message to the world. What would that message be, and what would it entail?
Oh, it would just be one long thank you, and probably some panic. I'm panicking just thinking about it. But no, I've been so touched and moved and inspired by the signs of community and how people have been coming together, especially in the past year, though there's been a lot of the opposite too. But I just think humans are great. We're these little weird monkeys on this rock, and I'm just delighted by us. It'd probably be a lot of that.
Yeah, that's funny. Monkeys on this rock.
Yeah, we're just these like panicking chimps steering this rock through space, and that's just delightful. You sort of let some of the pressure off a bit.
Uh, so we're a bunch of penguins heading to Mars soon as well. Okay, I see
That's
how it
true
is.
too. And actually, if I can keep you on here for a few seconds longer, speaking of planetary travel and Nell Bentley, something that is super cool that happened recently is an excerpt of the first Nell Bentley book, Travelers, will be headed to the moon on the Peregrine Moonlander mission as part of Writers on the Moon. It's
Ooh.
a sci-fi author who also is an astrophysicist. Put together this project where a bunch of creatives and specifically authors put together these collections of fiction and memoir and photographs and anything they wanted immortalized in a time capsule to go to the moon, and that's supposed to be happening this fall, maybe winter. So that's been kind of cool.
Oh wow, cooler than five cucumbers.
Yeah,
Instead of Futurama wailing on the moon, it's riding on the moon.
exactly.
Ah, there we go. A sci-fi's dreamers come true.
I know. I had like just epic nerd fit when that happened. It's just like I just think this is so cool. Like I can't. Yeah. Just like my little 7-year-old self is just like pushing up their glasses like, well, can you believe this? I mean, it's gonna go into this crater, and I just like just I've got like the whole map up and everything. It's been fun.
Heck yeah, it's fun. Like that's freaking awesome. It's like the power of just keep putting yourself out there and folks knowing about your magical work.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. There you go. Heck, heck, this even popped up into my head. So since you're able to team up with a wonderful publicist and get your voice out there, any advice for writers who still may be on the shy side of the game when it comes to putting out their magical work?
I mean, whether you have a publicist or not, I think it's so important to share stories and share who you are and what you think of the world. And I mean, teaming up with Mickey and Creative Edge has been one of the best career moves I've ever made for sure. Um, but if you're not ready for that yet, I think just getting your story out there and connecting with other authors, just do it. Isn't that someone's slogan? Someone famous.
Oh yeah, I hear they have a book too, and lots of shoes.
Yeah, yeah, something about shoes. I remember that.
Yeah, in some places they're called Mikeys.
Oh yeah, that's see. There you go. It's on just on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, just don't wear them in a certain place because it'd be like Mikey's. Like, why are you wearing Mikey's? They're supposed to be Nikes.
Knock off.
Where the swoosh is upside down and on the opposites.
Just looks like a mountain that you have to climb.
That's right. It's like instead of Under Armour, it's Uncle Martian. Yeah, that's right indeed. Well, for those who don't believe in the
Oh.
Uncle Martian and want to grab some more of all of your upcoming work and heck, even catch up on some past VS Holmes goodness, what's the best way for folks to reach out to
Well, I mean, definitely check out my website to get to know me a little bit better, which is vsholmes.com, and that's Holmes like Sherlock with the L. And I'm most talkative, most honest, I guess, on Twitter, and that's at vs_Holmes. I'm on Instagram if you don't mind some pictures of bugs and archaeology mixed in with your books. And I'm also on Facebook as well, so you can track me down there. And if you want to see if my work is up your alley, you can download a free story, both one in the Nell Bentley universe and then also one in my Blood of Titans world, if you'd like, from my website.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. That's right. It ain't about Sherlock. It's about VS, baby. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. And they just keep cooking them, folks. They just keep cooking them. It's like cakes just
I'm
keep
trying.
appearing. There you go. And it ain't the college try either. It's better.
No, thank God. Good ones. All set.
So, any parting words before we close up shop?
Well, just happy reading and keep on keeping on, everyone.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.